episode Stadia podcast right here on youtube.com/Helix Cloud Games for episode 131 of your weekly gaming show where we round up all of the Stadia and gaming news for your listening or viewing pleasure right here on YouTube or up there in the digital cloud on your podcast preference of choice. You join me, Chris, your host for the show, alongside the man of many pixels, Mr. Richie.
You know what?
What?
I actually don't have any plans this weekend, really. Well, it's Mother's Day on Sunday, but I'm actually looking forward to this weekend to get some gaming done because I haven't for the last few weekends.
I'm busy doing other things, but I'm hoping to squeeze some late night gaming in because it's been a while. I've neglected video games. I've only managed to get a few half an hour segments in here or there, and it's you know when you just want a good run at it.
That's it. That's where we were talking before we started recording. It's been over a week for both of us since we sat down to play any Horizon.
Yeah,
that's just embarrassing.
Being an adult is so unfair. But thankfully, you can listen to this podcast without the need of actually committing. No, without the need of I don't know where I was going with that. Without committing necessarily that much attention. You can stick us on in the background, you can whack us on Spotify, have YouTube playing in the background, but as long as you rate us, give us a like, subscribe, and click that bell so you're kept in the loop, you can't miss out. You can go about your gaming, your adult life, looking after the children, doing the garden. It's getting that time of year, Richie. I've cut my grass now. I've done it.
You know what? When you're in the office at work, turn the radio off, it's crap anyway, and put us on.
I'm sure all of your colleagues in the office will love that, but yeah, why not? Why not? Are we on the radio? We should be on the radio somewhere. Yeah, there'll be a radio app.
Someone, you'll have a phone. No, we figure it out.
You do.
The smart people.
But no, I'm feeling good, Richie. It's spring is definitely upon us. As of the time this show goes live, the clocks went forward yesterday, UK time, so we finally catch up with our American counterparts over the Atlantic. And I'm just feeling good. Got a good couple of months. A great show lined up for you all, filled with news, folks. We've got all of your April Pro games. We have Ubisoft game leaks coming out, which we know with Ubisoft, chances are it's going to come to Stadia. We have a new community manager, which we'll congratulate and welcome into the fold later on in the show as well. In and amongst that, we've got all sprinkled updates from some of the biggest games out there in the world right now, amongst many, many more things. But Richie, before we do get into all that, we broached a topic last week about showering, and it riled some of our viewers and listeners up. Now, I don't want to go back into it. We won't bring all that up. I want to pivot a little bit this week. Where do you stand on cookie dough?
I don't really stand on it.
I knew you were going to say that.
I mean...
Do you like it? You're a fan?
I am. I wouldn't say I'm a huge fan. It's not. If someone offers me some cookie dough Ben and Jerry's, I'm going to have a good time. But it's not oh my god, cookie dough must have now.
Cookie. Because I've just got back from having my dinner, tea, evening meal, whatever you call it, wherever you're from, and I wanted cookie dough cheesecake. Now I know cookie dough is more of an American thing than it is a UK thing, but it's slowly creeping over. It's working away into our menus and our lives with ice cream and cheesecake, evidently. But I didn't get any because the restaurant had run out. So on the way home, I stopped in and got some of these things I'd never seen before.
Okay.
The cookie dough bites.
They're cookie dough cinnamon buns.
Cinnamon bun flavour cookie dough bites. And I'm a big fan of cinnamon as well. In fact, sugar full stop. It's terrible. My dentist hates me for it. These things, apparently, fresh out of the oven. These little cookie dough bites. Fresh out of the oven. They're not. They taste like shit. In a quote, I said to my wife...
Hang on a sec.
What?
How can cookie dough be fresh out the oven? The whole point of cookie dough is it's not cooked.
It is. If you eat it raw, it will give you a very bad tummy. It needs to be cooked to some degree. It's kind of cake batter. It's okay, but if you're eating it en masse, it does something with you. But either way, these things, I would describe them, taste like artificial. That's the best way I can describe it. It's not...
They're cookie dough flavoured.
I mean, they're supposed to be.
Which is weird because it just makes them out of cookie dough. But anyway.
Yeah, either way. So... Unfortunately, if this is a staple to any of our viewers or listeners stateside, not that impressed with this particular variant. Am I doing it wrong? Is there another brand out there that I probably can't get my hands on? Do let me know in the comments.
I just
below.
thought with cookie dough is one of them things. Either you get it in ice cream, or you buy it as one of the tubes that you can make cookies out of.
Yeah.
Like, you don't buy like cookie dough flavoured stuff. It's just one of them things. You just buy some.
When I was
a bit off while you're making cookies.
When I was last in Disney World, they had a cookie dough van that sold cookie dough in all forms. You could get it as like ice cream in a cone. You could get it in a waffle. You could get it. It was very much edible. Like, you got scoops of cookie dough. It was amazing. Living the dream. But I digress. I just want to bring that up because it's not often that I buy like random snacks that aren't like UK based, so I thought I'd bring it up to our listeners and viewers, because I know half of our listeners live in the States. So tell me, what am I missing? What am I doing wrong? Or does it just taste like artificial sugar? We shall see. Maybe it's the cinnamon bun where I'm going wrong. But we digress, of course. Let's get, Richie, to some more gaming news. Let's get back to some gaming news, actually. This past Thursday, we jumped into Far Cry 6. It's just had a full free weekend. Amazing game. It's on Ubisoft discount. I've completed it. Didn't enjoy the DLC so much, but we jumped in this Thursday for our weekly Stadia live stream, where you can join us, you can tune in, watch along, join us in the chat, play the games with us if we play some more multiplayer scoped games. And we specifically jumped in because it did a free Stranger Things crossover, where you and me dove into the unknown, to seek out 6, not to be confused with 11, in this 80s inspired upside down action adventure, and we had a great time. Richie, you've only dabbled very briefly in Far Cry 6. Give the people your first thoughts on the Stranger Things crossover that we played, having not seen Stranger Things either, I might add.
Yes, yeah. So I'm not a Stranger Things fan. I've heard good things about it. I just have never sat down to watch it. I really enjoyed this, and actually, if you're like me and you like Stranger Things, but you haven't actually dabbled much in Far Cry 6. I mean, the free weekend will be over now, so you'll have to get Ubisoft Plus or buy the game. But you don't need to be leveled up to enjoy this. Like, you don't worry about, you get your weapons taken off you at the start, and it provides the weapons you need throughout the little story. It's about an hour and a half to 2 hours long?
I'd say about 1 hour and a half, yeah.
Yeah, it's free DLC, and it was really, really fun. In fact, we were saying in the stream where we felt it could have been longer. Yeah. It felt like untapped potential there.
It really did. In terms of Stranger Things games, we've got the Netflix mobile game, which is actually playable through Netflix. The like 16-bit art style. But for what the actual show is, this crossover with Far Cry really just made me kind of hunger for a bigger scope game. And we know they always do spin-offs with Far Cry. We get those yearly iterations where they reuse the map. So
I think instead of giving it to Ubisoft, Capcom, because we thought, Ubisoft doing a Stranger Things game would be great, but I think Capcom would do a better job if you think of the Resident Evil engine.
Yeah, there was parts where we said it could have been creepier or more eerie.
That might be a bit too close to Resident Evil, but that engine and their ability, their knowledge of like survival horror could be great for Stranger Things.
It really could. But we'll probably see more Far Cry in the future, as we're still waiting on Far Cry 4. We're still waiting on Far Cry Blood Dragon. What the hell are Ubisoft up to? But it's interesting we should say that. What are Ubisoft up to, Richie? Because Ubisoft are one of the biggest supporters of Stadia. We know that. We probably could put a safe bet on their games coming to the platform for the foreseeable future. However, this week, we're going to go away and record episode 60 of our SideQuest show. Tell the lovely people, Richie, what we're going to do in this week's episode. It's going to be one of those spicy episodes, I'm going to say.
Yeah, this is an episode that we've been thinking about actually since last year, but we were waiting for the right time on it. Because at the end of last year, you might remember us talking a lot about what games are coming and stuff. So we're now about a quarter of the way through the year, and it's time to talk about what games are coming and what games have been missed on Stadia.
Yep. We're always being honest on this show that we'll praise when it's due, and we'll also critique when it's due. And I think as we tick into the month of April, several big third-party games have came out, not exclusives. Take away the Pokemons, take away the Horizons, and there's still a lot left to be desired. And I think it's about time we actually held them to account for the games that were missing this year so far. And don't get me wrong, they've done lots of great stuff this year, but we've bottled it up for 3 and a bit months now, and all I'm seeing on my social feeds are big, massive games and huge games, very potential game of the year award-winning games. And where do I get to play them all? On my trusty PS5 in the other room, or right here on my PC. Not in the cloud which is what we're passionate about, which is what we love to see. So this episode goes live next week on Friday on free feeds. However, if you are a member of the channel, if you are a Helix hero, like over 50 of you are, you can support us, lovely gentlemen, for little as 99p, and you can get that content up to a whole 6 days early on the Sunday when we usually record it. That's right, up to 6 days early with extra badges, extra stickers next to your name, other exclusive perks, just by supporting us a little bit more. So if you like our content, if you like the channel, if you like me, Richie and Tom, do support us that bit more. If not, we appreciate you watching, clicking like, and listening along anywhere. So Richie.
Yes.
Let's get into the thick of it, because we've got a busy show, as I said. Pro stuff to talk about, Ubisoft stuff to talk about, and everything in between. So could you please introduce us to
the super sexy special Stadia story segment, aka the news.
News. April Pro Games, Richie. As if we're in April. The clocks have went forward. Mad. It's warm outside. I've cut the grass. We've got a whole list of games that are coming to Stadia Pro in just a few short days. So, let's delve into them in no particular order. First game is the much requested game, I might add. If you look on any kind of social media posts from the Stadia team, there's always comments relating to this game. So kicking things off, we've got the announcement that World War Z Aftermath will be arriving on Stadia Pro. We should caveat that with, by the way, during the first week of April, they did specify. So it doesn't seem like it's coming the first, because there will be people on the 1st of April who go to claim these games, and it's not there. I feel like it must be delayed for some reason by a handful of days into the month.
My reading in that is they're still porting it over. They probably expect it to be done by the 1st, but don't want to shoot themselves in the foot. So they might be just being cautious, because the 1st is a Friday as well.
Yeah.
So if everything isn't done in time by like
busy
launch Friday, it's probably going to be the Monday or Tuesday. Yeah. I'd hope. We
also don't know yet, I believe, if this is coming with crossplay or anything, because if that is a feature, they might want to tie it in with other platforms after a week, as you said, after a weekend, or they might have something planned.
Yeah.
But World War Z Aftermath, it's one of probably the bigger titles I've been looking forward to playing on the system. The ultimate co-op zombie shooter, inspired by the Paramount Pictures blockbuster, featuring Brad Pitt of the same name, of course, is the next evolution of the original hit, World War Z, which is very, very quite similar, actually. And hopefully it's going to be taking the Stadia world by storm. You can join up to 3 players, friends, on your own or with AI teammates against hordes of ravenous zombies in an immersive story episodic across zombie-ravaged locations around the world. Big thing that's got me excited for this, Richie, is just the up to 3 friends online. I think you, me, and someone out there in our lovely gaming cloud community could have an absolute blast on a live stream with this. Who doesn't love killing zombies, right?
Yeah, I think this is a safe one to say. Keep an eye out for our social feeds for when our announcement for our live stream of this game comes up, because we'll probably be live streaming it the first possible opportunity.
100%. Actually, with the list of pro games we've got, we might actually be in line for a few either first look videos or live streams going off at the same time across the same few days, because it's a good list this month round. But more importantly, games that I'm intrigued to play, and 2 I've never played before. So World War Z has had my attention, even on PlayStation, for quite some time, but I've not had a reason to really buy into it. So the fact that I'm just getting it for free on Pro, and it's the newer version Aftermath, and it's 3 players, it's got me excited.
Yeah, same. I actually liked Left 4 Dead back in the day. I played through quite a bit of that with my brother. It was one of them like easy to jump into co-op games.
Yeah.
And World War Z Aftermath is basically Left 4 Dead again. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, it certainly is. I mean, after all, we didn't get I can't think of it. Back 4 Blood. We didn't get that. Yeah. So Left 4 Dead.
I think people would have been happy with this game just coming to the platform, but the fact it's a pro game is a very nice bonus.
It really is. So we can look forward to that in the first week or so of April. Keep your eyes peeled. Keep your literal zombie eyes peeled, plucked out, ready for it. Can't wait for that one. Secondly, following on, we also have the announcement that coming to Pro is Chicken Police, Paint It Red. This is again another title that came to the platform about a month or so. Was it this year or last year? Time's weird. End of last year, I probably want to say.
Yeah, I can't remember for certain, to be honest.
Either way, meet the Chicken Police. Sonny Featherland and Marty McChicken were once legendary detective duo called the Chicken Police. But that was almost a decade ago, Richie, and time had ruthlessly passed them by. Now Sonny and Marty are forced to work together on a case that is weirder than anything they've ever encountered before. Narrative-driven, detective gameplay, Chicken Police is a story-rich and dialogue-heavy game combining elements of visual novels, classic adventure games. This has more than 30 characters to interact and talk with some having serious interrogation problems. Collect tons of clues, evidence, and highly sensitive personal information from shady characters, and use it ruthlessly against them. Again, this is a very noir setting, detectives, but with a funky animal twist on it. With kind of, it sounds like Dark Side Detective levels of humour.
Yeah, I was thinking that. I think this might be the one we might have to stream. I think we'd have a blast playing this.
Yeah, I got the exact same vibe.
It clearly doesn't take itself too seriously, despite the fact that it's very serious in the way it's presenting itself.
Yeah.
Like proper full-on super serious detective noir, but you just happen to be a chicken.
Yeah, it just happened to be as you are, the Chicken Police. Of course, this one, we should point out, actually, we didn't mention, but World War Z Aftermath is 81 on Metacritic. Chicken Police Painted Red is an 84. So that's like two solid titles in the Metacritic world coming. Chicken Police ranked higher than World War Z. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this one. And again, this is what I alluded to on game number 1. But yeah, I'm totally down for a stream of this and just you and me figuring out do some sleuthing.
And chat.
And the chat, of course. The chat help us out more than we help each other out sometimes.
Oh, God, yeah.
No denying that. But I'm looking forward to it all the same. Chicken Police Painted Red. Again, another title that I probably would have bought if it wasn't in that sweet pro spot. And once again, I've been proven right, and I've saved myself £15-20 by just being patient.
I'm glad it's come to pro because it's a game that I probably would have... Oh, that's interesting. I'll get to that. I'll buy that at some point, and then other games take... I've played other games first, and then I forget about it. So the fact that it's coming to pro means I will probably get to experience it, which is the advantage of a service like Pro.
Certainly. And I've also got a bit of a soft spot. One of the devs is Massive Mini Team, who made Spitlings, which was one of the Fest Stadia games that we covered. Little live stream. We played along with the developers of the game back in the day, like when our channel was just starting out. So I've got a bit of a soft spot for these guys as well. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the Chicken Police is all about. I'm sure we'll have a clucking good time, Richie. Moving on to the third game, and in my opinion, probably the worst game of the lot. We have City Legends Curse of the Crimson Shadow Collector's Edition, aka your mobile point-and-click adventure game from Domini Games. This seems to be possibly a standard that we might expect over the next few months, unfortunately. I've touched it. We won't go into it too much today, but that's 2 months in a row we've got 2 point-and-click adventure games from mobile.
The thing I was going to say is we're quite harsh on the fact that it's being ported from mobile, but in the end of the day, it is a point-and-click adventure game like Chicken Police.
Yeah, but there's something tinged about mobile games that...
Yeah, I think for me, it just, as mentioned before, it just feels like I don't know why this game needs to be on Stadia. I don't know, because... I mean,
it doesn't. It's like 100 meg download on your phone.
If you can already get access on your mobile phone, I don't see where the advantage is, but okay, fine. Yeah,
we haven't had it confirmed yet if it comes with Direct Touch, but I would guess based on the other entry. Adam Wolf.
I would have thought so. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? We might need to try it one time if we get around to it. It is the collector's edition after all. I don't know what element of it is actually collectible.
It's weird. Collector's editions and digital only don't seem right because you think as a collector you want something physical.
Yeah. Well, it's like digital collector's editions when you get like the soundtrack. And I guess you just get a link for MP3s. It's like you don't really have it. And I'm a big fan of like statuettes and stuff, and little cost models. Yeah. So, but yes, either way, City Legends: The Curse of the Crimson Shadow. Delve into the history of the Order of the Witches and unravel its mysterious past in a chilling hidden object puzzle adventure wrapped up in City Legends: The Curse of the Crimson Shadow Collector's Edition. Assume the role of the renowned horror author. You're no stranger to terrifying tales, but this time your search for inspiration has put you on a collision course with a spirit you might regret awakening. So, there you go, folks. Yeah. Check it out when it goes pro, or download it on your mobile phone right now and play it full. I'm sure it costs like 99p an episode or something. But I'll leave my sourness of mobile point and click adventure games at the door. I do enjoy point and click adventure games. I just...
You know what? They're not too bad when there's some strong titles alongside them when in the pro lineup.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, yeah, it's easier to stomach when there's like, when it's like, yeah, sandwiched between like World War Z and and like East 9.
Whoa, spoilers. We haven't got to the next game yet. There it is, folks. He said it. He's revealed it. Seconds early. Yes, East 9.
And I messed it up as well.
East 9. What did you say? East 8, yes. East 9.
I said East 8 and corrected myself.
Monstrum Nox is also arriving. Adol Kristin is cursed by a mysterious woman and becomes a monstrum, a powerful being who can exorcise monsters. To escape from the city of Balduk, he must ally with 5 other monstrums, each with their own unique gifts, and stop the Grimwald Nox, a shadowy dimension on the verge of overflowing into the real world. I throw this one over to you, Richie. JRPG, only launched on Stadia middle of last year. We're getting
it launched day and date last year as well.
Day
it wasn't like a late Stadia release.
Oh, terrific. Day and date last year then. Probably a full price game. I don't recall seeing it on sale at all. Here we are, getting it on Pro. You, Richie, you actually played East 8 because you got it on Pro, and you said yourself that you're surprisingly impressed and enjoyed your time with it.
Yeah, before I talk about quick correction, it did actually originally release in Japan in 2019.
Okay.
But I think it came over to the West in 2021.
So give us the rundown of your time with East 8, and then are you looking forward to this one? Is there a live stream for Richie in here somewhere?
I don't know if I'm going to live stream it or not. East 8, I really enjoyed it. I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed. If you go, I actually have a first look of East 8 on the channel, and I describe in that game, like that first look, as the graphics reminding me of like Final Fantasy X, so almost PS2 era. So if you're like a massive graphics snob, I don't think you're going to be blown away by this. But actually, to be honest, once I got over that initial, okay, these graphics look a bit dated, and just got into the game, I think the story was really cool. For East 8, this is the really cool idea. Like trapped on an island, some time travel stuff, but it's more of an action RPG. So it's not turn based combat. Mm-hmm. So everything you see is in the world you can battle, kind of an open world. So I was really surprised how much I really enjoyed it. And then so like when East 9 came, it's like, okay, this is the game I want to try.
Mm-hmm.
But it was very much a game. It's like at some point. It was like, this is one where I've been keeping an eye out. If it drops on a sale, like that's when I'll pick it up. And I'm getting a Stadia Pro, so that's even better.
Terrific. Yeah, I think that's the again in I'm sure some other people's list, this is probably the biggest game out of the lot. I know we're kind of enamored with World War Z, but
I'd say this is the game on this list I'm looking forward to the most, to be honest.
Oh, there you go. It's your list I'm talking about then.
I think World War Z is a game I'm going to have a really good time playing with you on the stream, and then maybe a couple of times even on stream. But that's the only way I'm going to probably experience that game. East 9's one I could see myself actually just sitting down and playing in my own time.
Interesting. Well, you'll have to keep us updated on that one. I'm sure you'll get through that back catalogue.
It is down on the list. My back catalogue's quite extensive at the moment, but it's now on the list.
It's on the list, officially stamped on there, and it's coming to Pro. That's not all though, everyone. We have another Pro game announced. That's it. You're getting 5 for the month of April. This one comes in the form of a new to the platform title, Deliver Us the Moon. Of course, we only announced just last week's show that it's coming to Stadia, and they've been all over social media touting they're thrilled, excited to be working on this, bringing it across, porting it to the platform. Of course, Deliver Us the Moon. Earth's natural resources are depleted. A lone astronaut is sent to the moon to secure a promising new energy source. Welcome to the galaxy's most critical mission ever. A sci-fi space thriller set in an apocalyptic near future, Deliver Us the Moon is an out-of-this-world, genre-busting narrative adventure. In this game, you'll assume the role of Earth's last astronaut on a do-or-die mission to save humanity. With a trusty robot as your sole companion, you'll use the greatest technology humankind has to offer, from the new age spacesuits to cutting lasers to rockets and robot arms, as you work your way through this exciting title. Deliver Us the Moon. This was one that had us excited a week or so ago when it was announced. The more I kind of see of it, I look at gameplay, I look at the trailer. I can't wait to play this one. This is definitely another first look for the channel. Check it out. Puzzle solving and an interesting action adventure sci-fi space kind of way, and I'm looking forward to it. It's got a really good artistic kind of style behind this game. I like the look of it.
Same, looks good.
And that's your final pro game, everybody.
Yeah.
Where should we start? What should we check out first? I guess we could let our viewers and listeners know, really. If you are a fan of the channel, we'll drop it into our Discord. In fact, we'll put can you put polls in Discord? That's a thing, right? Surely.
There's a way. I'll figure it out.
We'll do it as on the YouTube channel, on the wall, or we'll do it in Discord. But we'll put the vote out to you. Which of these pro games should we check out first on one of our live streams? And we'll get to all the others in due course. But shout out to our Discord group. We've got a group, an awesome group of people in there. Loads of people from the Stadia cloud community. All active gamers, all busy individuals in their own right. But always have a few minutes each and every day to pose questions, conversation, chit-chat back and forward about gaming, adult life, tech, lifestyle, everything in between. And it's been very vibrant at the moment. So again, shout out to our Discord people. And if you do want to join, link is in the description below. We'd love you to jump in and celebrate and join the party. But Richie, that is it for your pro games for April. We kind of got them. It feels like we got them a little bit early because the month ends right at the back end of a week, and we didn't know if we would maybe get it next week or not.
I think it just fell in line with like this week on Stadia's like fortnightly release, so that happened to fall this week. But they could have given us this list next week easily. Makes
for an easy show for us though, if we do have games to talk about. Now, one of the touch points I wanted to do for story number 2, Richie, you know what it is because it's in the doc, of course, and I'd be very concerned if you didn't. But the developers of Deliver Us the Moon had a bit of an exclusive reveal at this week's Future Video Games Showcase. That was broadcast online, the spring showcase that was. Kyo Ken, who are the developers, have announced that they're working with Frontier Foundry, who are publishing this exclusive, and it comes in the form of Deliver Us Mars. So shortly after announcing all the Stadia hype and Deliver Us the Moon is coming, we should caveat not confirmed for Stadia, but they did announce and showcase a really interesting looking follow-up to Deliver Us the Moon in the form of Deliver Us Mars. The game essentially is set 10 years after Deliver Us the Moon. It maintains that sci-fi puzzle adventure vibe of its predecessor, but promises a significant step forward when it comes to both narrative and gameplay. So for those who are watching the trailer at home, it shows the shuttle, the aftermath of a shuttle crash, a short glimpse at the game apparently has a new protagonist. So I don't know if that bodes well for the one in the previous game or not. But the character steps out, you've got your drone still, so it looks like it's going to essentially echo the same gameplay style of the original, but with a different planet, no doubt more puzzles and such. They announced this is coming to PS5, PS4, Xbox, all the Xbox family, PC via Steam, and the Epic Games Store. And the reason I wanted to bring it up, Richie, with Kyo Ken making such a big deal of how happy they are porting stuff to Stadia, socials, they're thrilled, they're really responsive, and they answer a lot of people's comments across Twitter and Facebook and stuff. This has got to be a shoo-in, right? For Stadia?
I think it'd be weird if it didn't, after like how recent like Deliver Us the Moon announcements come, then to like a couple of weeks later, oh, here's the next game, Deliver Us from Mars. If that doesn't come to Stadia, it's kind of weird.
Right.
So I think there's a very good chance.
And pro as well, so that means they're having deep financial discussions with these between all parties involved. I think we should totally expect. They didn't give us a release date. Deliver Us the Moon did originally come out in 2019, so it has had a few years to bake in the oven alongside these lovely cookie dough bites. But hopefully this game spends a little bit more time in said oven. And I'm guessing if they made an announcement, we'll probably see it back end of this year, maybe start of next year, which could be quite some time out. But again, this goes back to what we've always spoke about on this show. If you're Google, you've got to negotiate these kind of deals for like double games or multiple things, right?
Yeah, especially with how close the release, the announcement of Deliver Us Mars is to the announcement of Deliver Us the Moon on Stadia is. Again, I think it would be quite weird if it to not come. But without knowing the real scope of Deliver Us the Moon, it's hard to know how long this game would actually really need in the oven.
Yeah.
How long it would take them to actually pull it together. Is this like, it only takes us, we only need 2 years, in which case we might see it this year.
Yeah.
Or is it actually, no, we need 3 or 4 years and it might be 2023?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll vamp a little bit about what future games I expect to see. You do as a how long does it take to beat check and see, because I would place it probably around the 4 to 5 hour mark. If it's like a puzzle adventure, probably not that much. But what I would say is we should expect to see multiple spin-offs of this title. I love the fact that it's just called Deliver Us Mars, and then from there you could just go through Mercury, Jupiter, Venus. Deliver Us Uranus would be a really funny game to come out. Almost like a
South Deliver Us Ganymede.
Like South Park, tongue-in-cheek, fractured butthole kind of play on words there. So Deliver Us Uranus confirmed for 2023.
According to howlongtobeat.com, main story is 4 hours and 54 minutes. Completionist is 8 hours and 4 minutes.
What a guess.
And they're the averages. So yeah, about, you're looking 5 to 10 hours depending on your play style.
Fantastic. So yeah, I just wanted to bring that up because again, they've got to be going into these negotiations and saying, look, we love you to port the game over. These are all of our new porting tools. Oh, what? You're currently making a brand new follow-up to this game and you're making an announcement this very month. Any chance we can get that ported across too, whilst you're actively working on porting one of the titles, which probably runs on the same engine? Like, that conversation has to have happened. But time will tell. An interesting point to bring out of this is the publisher being Frontier. Because I tweet at Frontier regularly on about a 3-month basis of them to bring.
He really does.
I really do. At CyberChris2077 if you want to follow me.
And if you see his tweet about him tweeting Frontier, give it a like.
Give it a like.
The more weight we throw behind it, the better.
Yeah, we could start a petition, but I won't.
Yeah, let's not go there.
No, let's not go there. But yes, if they're bringing it across, or if they're publishing it, I guess that means they're involved somehow. And yeah, I always tweet at them saying, "Please bring me Jurassic World Evolution 1 or 2. Please bring me Planet Coaster. Bring me Planet Zoo. I'd love those mouse and keyboard S games." And there's a whole side quest dedicated to that. Go check it out. Like 2 weeks ago, we did the PC games.
Yeah, it'll be 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Okay, and there's like 60 episodes of SideQuest live now to go check out. So delve in if you do on the topics. But yes, Deliver Us Mars, the follow-up to Deliver Us the Moon. Fingers crossed. Hopefully we'll hear something soon rather than keeping us quiet. Because Richie, if you keep people quiet, you know what happens?
They get leaky.
They do. Again, you get that leaky drip of information, and eventually that pipe will crack. And out comes a flood of news, just like our next story of the week. Ubisoft are reportedly working on multiple games, multiple entries, expansions, updates, all of the like, and it's all been leaked because they're planning a massive showcase this year. And a reliable source who's reported things truthfully in the past, Tom Henderson, is giving us a breakdown of some things to expect. So we won't go into them all because, again, it is all rumoured leaks. But we've been saying for some time we're probably due a Ubisoft forward in the next month or two.
Yeah,
really?
I would have thought, honestly, I would have thought March, because now we're getting April and we're barreling towards the summer now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess it'll either be soon or they'll probably go adjacent to E3 Summer Games Fest. Like they'll try and sandwich themselves in a day somewhere in the summer. But by then, is it not too late? Like, Ubisoft should have some games out, right? They're a massive AAA third-party publisher, and they've been quite quiet since Far Cry, right? What am I missing? Valhalla just got its DLC, I guess, but for Ubisoft,
I wouldn't count DLC.
It seems quite quiet for them typically.
Yeah, you're not going to do a forward for just DLC though. Even if the Valhalla DLC is basically a game into itself.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It might just because every time they announce something in the last 2 years, just then a couple of months later it goes, and it's been delayed, and it's been delayed.
Well, yeah.
So they might be a bit more cautious about when they do a forward.
Yeah.
Until we've got a couple of things that are concrete. Mm-hmm. Then we'll do a forward. That might be the thoughts.
Yeah. And we've theorised a couple of times. We've done whole shows dedicated to Ubisoft news and leaks, but what we'll expect to see from this, and some of the leaks to come out of the announcement, the kind of biggest one for me is there's about 20 games lined up ready for some kind of near future announcement. We know there's going to be an Assassin's Creed conversation because it's their biggest selling franchise. We know Mario and Rabbids Sparks of Hope has been confirmed, but that's a Nintendo exclusive. We know Beyond Good and Evil alongside Skull and Bones must be due some kind of update or tease. And we know there's the Prince of Persia that got pushed back as well from Ubisoft in India. And Out of this one, some of the biggest announcements are apparently that the Greek mythology open world game featuring Phoenix, Immortals Phoenix Rising, formerly known as Gods and Monsters, is in its pre-production stages for a sequel, and they're currently hiring for the title, which I'm thrilled to bits. I absolutely adored Immortals Phoenix Rising. I got the Platinum Trophy over on my PlayStation. Such a beautiful, colourful world, and one that I think is very, very deserved of a sequel. That's been worked on under the guise of the same team who did Odyssey, so it's the same just follow-up crew. And again, Odyssey was great, Immortals was great, so got a solid bit of energy at the moment, that studio. So I'm looking forward to seeing that.
On this leaks, I think the only thing that we didn't really know about was apparently a 2.5D Prince of Persia game.
Yeah.
Everything else, I think, has already been announced or leaked or expected. I think the Crew 3, technically, this is probably the first time we've heard about it. But I think it's always a safe bet that they'll be working on a Crew 3.
Yeah, they've been putting out lots of seasonal content for that game. But you're completely right, yeah. And we knew about the Sands of Time remake, which upon its first reveal got absolutely ripped apart by the comments and Facebook downvotes when that was a thing, because it just looked bad. It looked bad. It almost, well, I mean, we even questioned why they don't just make it from scratch rather than try and do this remake, like just do a remaster. And now we find out that Ubisoft in Pune, which is a different studio, is apparently doing 2.5D new entry inspired by Ori and Will of the Wisps, Ori and the Blind Forest aesthetics. Interesting.
It's interesting that they liken it to Ori rather than, a Ubisoft property such as Child of Light.
Yeah, again, it's all internal, I guess.
Which that kind of put both like that 2.5D what do you call it, Metroidvania styles. It feels like Child of Light might be a bit more. Might be even the team from Child of Light actually.
It might be. That's a good shout. That could be. Of course, 2.5D. There are Prince of Persia games that came out back in the day on like Nintendo Nintendo DS or Game Boy something. I've definitely played a Prince of Persia side-scrolling game at some point. It might have even been on a mobile device. Nokia N-Gage. Shout out.
Oh wow, that's taking it back.
It was about that time though when. I don't know. My brain might be getting away with me.
Child of Light was Ubisoft Montreal. Prince of Persia is expected to be Ubisoft Montpellier. So, okay. But also says likely others. So
they all collaborate all over the place, don't they? So no surprise there. And you did mention the Crew 3. I certainly think with all the support they've given for the Crew 2, it seems to just keep going almost. To those out there, I think Riders Republic, they were maybe thinking might pull a bit of the interest away, but this goes back to what we've theorised plenty of times. If Ubisoft threw everything into Riders Republic, like get cars in there and kind of just make it this open world Grand Theft Auto Online kind of exploration of just crazy zany races and landscapes, but evidently Crew 3 is probably just going to be more of the same.
I wonder if the Crew 2, they've got to a point where they feel they're hitting the limitations of that game in terms of things like the game engine and stuff, so they could absolutely keep making more content, but probably can't keep pushing it forward in terms of how it plays, how it looks. And now we're into a new console generation, they might be thinking, you know what, this is time to sunset Crew 2, bring out Crew 3 and probably build it up for the next generation.
Yeah, certainly. Of course, the thing with the Crew 2 was you traversed across the United States. Maybe they've got plans for maybe traverse across the United States and more, maybe Europe or elsewhere in the world. But we'll have to find out. So Crew follow-up, it might just be like a Crew on... My guess is it's probably going to go where the similar vein as a lot of their other titles. We know we've got the Division Heartland, which is due an update. We've got X-Defined, so a lot of stuff in the works.
Yeah, this comes after Ubisoft's shift towards a bit more online focused, persistent world stuff. Where I think if they've designed the Crew 2 and they just support it as much as they can, they might be looking at the Crew 3 and going, you know what, we're going to build this from the ground up to be supported for a long time. Which, could be good. Long time, if you're into the Crew.
And speaking of a long time, they probably won't, but there's the Splinter Cell remake they announced. And then that is a good few years off. We've got Avatar still, Frontiers of Pandora.
I'm still thinking that's going to be later in the year, and we'll hear more about round about E3 or Summer Games Fest.
Yeah, that's totally for me shooing for a tie-in with the movie that comes out this December. It just makes business sense to get it out while it's in the public maybe a bit early, maybe go in November, get it out in time for the movie.
you want to get it out at the time when people are talking about the movie, when the movie's kind of getting that mind share.
Yeah.
And then, which makes sense to give like a bit more of a deep dive in the summer.
Certainly does. So we'll hear about that. I'm hoping for Forward. We always watch them live. We always do some reactions. So interested to see. We obviously got Oddballers delayed. Ubisoft have Roller Champions in the pipeline as well, which is like the rollerblading racing game. So plenty of variety. We've got some Ubisoft kind of indie titles, like from the Child of Light teams, the Rayman team. I'd love to see another Rayman. I feel like we've not had one since Legends. It's been a long time. And I think the biggest thing to take away as Stadia fans and Amazon Luna fans out there, and Ubisoft's recent announcement of their own cloud computing software, is they're always working with. They've always got tendrils out there in the world doing stuff. And for us, they're just a huge supporter of Stadia. So anything Ubisoft do should be a boon for Stadia.
It's only mentioned in this article, this Xfire.com article at the end, but Ubisoft still have the South Park license.
Do they?
And it's been a while.
It has been a while.
That could be a surprise drop.
The South Park games aren't on Ubisoft Plus, are they?
I don't think so. No.
It's similar to the was it Just Dance as well? It's like we think it's something to do with licensing, right? They only put their solely owned properties on there.
Yeah, well, I think while Ubisoft have the license for them, Trey Parker and Matt Stone are very protective over South Park IP,
and they're very
so
busy
it's
now
like
as well.
I don't think Ubisoft can just make a game without their involvement.
Which makes sense. Can't kind of pin him down to get it done. But yeah, so Ubisoft, let us know what's happening, and we'll be there to react and watch along with it. Shout out to them, by the way, for the cross-play, cloud save, connect, like everything. We found out on our Thursday night live stream, and it was actually very telling. To play Far Cry 6 on Stadia, I had my save file over on my PlayStation. I had to install the game as part of the PlayStation free trial because my brothers actually borrowed my disc version of the game, Richie. So I had to go in and download the free weekend version on my PS5 to then upload my cloud save to the Ubisoft Connect. And then all I did is log back into the Stadia one, hit the download file size, and then boom, I was in my 40-odd hour game file seamlessly in the cloud on Stadia without having to download an 80 gig game file size again. And it kind of really just showcased how good Ubisoft setup is, but then also the sheer convenience of cloud gaming. I started that update and it took like an hour or so to download to my PS5 while we were in here streaming the openings of the game, and it just shows you how convenient it can be. But moving on, another story that it's not strictly Stadia, but you know what we do here on the show by now if you're listening along for episode 131. Ilphonic, developers famed for Friday the 13th, heavily in line with the Dead by Daylight guys, and then Predator Hunting Grounds, which came out as a PlayStation exclusive last year, have revealed that they are working on a new upcoming Ghostbusters game in partnership with Ghost Corps and Columbia Pictures. It doesn't follow the movies, but I'm sure there will be some familiar faces popping up, like Winston Zeddemore and Ray Stantz, played respectively by Ernie Hudson and Dan Aykroyd as well. Spirits Unleashed, Richie, is a asymmetrical game where you work as a team of 4v1, 4 Ghostbusters versus 1 ghost or ghoul or goblin. And the reason I bring it up is because it has been announced for PC, PS, like all the usual rigmarole ones. However, somebody over on Facebook, I did see the guy's message here, Joshua Woodward, shout out to Josh. He actually messaged Ilphonic and specifically asked about would Ghostbusters become a Stadia, because the game is confirmed as cross-platform, cross-play as well, so that takes some limitations out of it. It would of course help with the Stadia's fan base, and they said he asked specifically, would love to play it with a Google Stadia account, could look into it, I'd buy 2 accounts, etc, etc. And they replied saying, we currently have it confirmed for Xbox, PS5 and PC, but will announce a full launch platform that's closer to the official release. So that wasn't a straight up no, it was we haven't finalised the platform list yet.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
It means there's a chance.
There's always a chance.
You don't know whether this is a case of the community manager couldn't get hold of the
true.
the development teams, like, to confirm if they're talking about it or anything. It might be that they're still talking. There's a lot of things it could mean, but the one thing we know for certain is it's not a definite. It's not coming.
Yeah.
Which is. I'll take that.
I'll take that as well. Of course, I'm a massive Ghostbusters fan. through and through. I thoroughly enjoyed Afterlife, the latest movie that just came out, and I've enjoyed what I've played of Predator Hunting Grounds. We enjoyed Dead by Daylight. I like the isometric nature if you've got a team. And again, crossplay does really help out with that potential Stadia fan base.
Yeah.
And just the fact that I get to run around with a proton pack and hunt Ghost. Slimer is confirmed for the game as well. There's obviously cameos. The art style leaves a little bit to be desired. It's very much got that Fortnite aesthetic to it, but nearly everything has nowadays. So it's something different. But it's Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. Fingers crossed, we'll see. I guess we'll have to lay the ghost trap out, Richie, and see if we can capture these developers in due time. It's due out in Q4 2022, so we've still got a few months for them to put that polish on the port if it is coming. Fingers crossed. Speaking of community manager, you mentioned it there, maybe they just couldn't get hold of them. We need to give a special shout out to the brand new Stadia manager, Dan from Google. That's all we know him as now. We don't know his surname, we don't know his Twitter account, but if you're listening, Dan, we will find you. Like Liam Neeson says in Taken, we will hunt you down and we will find you, because we're a diligent bunch of people here in the Stadia community. And more importantly, if he retweets, he shares anything, we'll find out who he is.
Let's not hunt him down.
No, I don't mean it in a negative way. I mean, like, we want to share in his celebration of his new job. I'll read directly from the post over on the official Reddit thread. Dan from Google, as he's currently known, post saying, "Hey there, Stadians. My name is Dan, and I am the new community manager for the Stadia team. I've been working in the games industry for over 10 years, and I'm excited to use my experience to help continue making the Stadia community an awesome place to game. I know I have some big shoes to fill, but I will do my best to help. I appreciate everyone's patience as I adjust to my new role. A bit more about myself. Some of my favourite games to play are fighting games, team-based shooters, RPGs and rhythm games. For my fellow fighting game fans, I highly recommend jumping onto Power Rangers Battle for the Grid if you haven't. It's fun, frantic and flashy, the perfect fighting game combo. Looking forward to chatting and gaming with you all. See you on Stadia. Smiley face, Dan from Google." So we have, Richie, our replacement for the one and only Grace Yang. They've had a few months there. They've recruited. Yeah. Obviously, someone with plenty of gaming experience, over 10 years in the industry. He clearly is an American, by the way. He spelt favourite in his statement here. So already, Richie, the sleuthing begins.
Yeah.
But shout out, Dan. Congratulations on the job. We can't wait to see what you bring to the table. Obviously, we all have a soft spot in our hearts for all the hard work Grace did to pull this community together. And I personally have absolute faith that you'll do a smashing job. And I'm looking forward to hearing more communication from you as time goes by. Anything you'd like to add?
No, you just pretty much said everything.
Good. Will you help me find out who he is on social media, though, Richard?
No, let's not dox him. He'll let him share as much or as little of himself as he wants to.
You can. Over on Twitter as well, the job has already begun for Dan, because immediately some of the questions I can see on social media, can we ask Dan if we're ever going to get Sniper Elite or WWE or XXX?
It doesn't mean he'll know.
Dan still is, I'm sure, tied to the same powers that Grace was, in that she doesn't have a future calendar roadmap, or she's not allowed to divulge information that the job doesn't entail. So
you're not going to get him. He's not going to leak info. He's not.
Anyone out there jumping all over this, cool your jets. Let Dan settle into his role. He'll tell us everything he's legally allowed to. Just let him enjoy his job. Yeah. But it's nice to see. Again, they don't recruit for roles. If something was wrong over there, no one's going to take a job without any future plans. So congratulations once again, Dan. We look forward to seeing what you bring to the table. But while we've got the table in front of us, Richie, let's throw something off it. Suicide Squad are not going to kill the Justice League. Not this year, at least, if WB and Rocksteady have anything to do with it, because it's been delayed. And again, let's kick things off. We know it's not confirmed for Stadia. However, we've always been saying all along, WB, they have games on Stadia in the form of Mortal Kombat. They have Batman or DC specific games running on Stadia Tech in the form of Arkham Knight with that AT&T partnership. And we know the head of AT&T, even just the other week at the Google for Games Developer Summit, specifically said, we've got another game, another title coming to the AT&T deal later on this year. I think it's safe to say it's not the Suicide Squad, because reading between the lines, it ain't coming this year. So my money is on Gotham Knights being the next AT&T game now. to come kind of day and date, maybe with a link for AT&T mobile customers. But the story right here, Richie, is Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, the long-awaited game from Rocksteady. It's been officially delayed until spring 2023. Surprised?
No. I mean, everything gets delayed nowadays, so I'm not surprised at all. It's hard to be surprised when a game gets delayed, and I think it's usually the smart move. So take your time to make a good game. Maybe I'll warm up to Suicide Squad a bit more in the future. I just have very little interest in Suicide Squad as an IP at the moment. I've said before on the shows, it feels like Suicide Squad is one of them IPs they're desperate to make work, but I don't think they've made it interesting yet. So...
Yeah, I said, I think, with the last time you echoed those sentiments, that I enjoyed the latest Suicide Squad movie, but I'm definitely not adhered to these characters like the way I am Batman or his roster of villains or even just his sidekicks, which we are getting in Gotham Knights this year. A big part of me actually thinks this delay was probably easier to pass off for Rocksteady because it looks so similar to Gotham Knights.
I actually think I'm a bit down on DC in general, because most DC movies are terrible.
Objectively.
Subjectively, in recent years, I think most DC movies have been pretty terrible, to be honest. So it's kind of soured me on DC as a whole. But there again, you look at the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, and you can show what quality the IP has. I just don't think I'm yet to see them nail it in recent years.
Well, we haven't been to see the new Batman movie yet, Richie.
That is true. I do need to see that.
Which is getting good. They released a deleted scene across social media.
I have heard good things about that.
It's getting loads of raves.
But now they've stopped trying to do this interconnected universe. They're starting to make better films.
I mean, I'm pretty sure the Batman's supposed to be connected. We've got another Aquaman movie. I enjoyed the first Aquaman movie. I enjoyed The Flash. I enjoyed Shazam. They weren't great.
It's a different Batman. It's a different Batman, though.
Yes, already the Flash movie is going back, and we'll see Michael Keaton's Batman. So I think that Flashpoint storyline is going to do something similar to the MCU now, where there's multiple variants and universes, and but we're getting in the weeds of it. This game delayed should be coming to Stadia based on come on, you've got a deal with AT&T to physically put these games in the cloud, running on the tech. Push that over the edge and sink that deal with a little bit of extra cash. But yes, delayed. Looks very similar to Gotham Knights. I'm not surprised they didn't want two games of such a similar ilk in the same DC world to come out. I know one is in the Arkham universe. I think it's this one, and Gotham Knights isn't. But Batman isn't in any of them that we know of, which is still really weird for me from a marketing standpoint. The only thing that's really got me is Arkham Knight came out in 2015. And this game isn't coming out now until spring 2023. Rocksteady have been sitting... I'm sure they've not been resting on the laurels, but they've been sitting on this game for nearly a decade, Richie, by the time it comes out. Jeez.
It makes you wonder, when did they start working on this game? What problems have they had? And, this is... I think sometimes... I mean, it may have maybe taken all the time they need to get to absolutely nail it. Mm-hmm. But the longer it goes on, before I think Rocksteady in this weird place where I think, despite the fact that when they released the last game, they were pretty much on a high, because it's been so long, they're back to the point where they need to nail it.
Yeah,
they need to land the game. It's they
really do, and again, you don't know over the last almost a decade how much the industry's changed. So how much as WB came in and said, yeah, whatever this single player Batman similar storyline is, we need more online components. We need multiplayer. Look at you can imagine. You can almost see the shareholders in the board meeting saying, "This next big hit, we need this feature added. We need this folded in."
I hope that's not the case, because Rocksteady with the Arkham series were really good at these single player games. Mm-hmm. So if they're trying to cram multiplayer games and features that they're not known for, this might be where the problems have come. Yeah, I'm assuming problems. There might not have been any problems.
Yeah, I mean, it was rumoured they were working on a Superman game at one point. And obviously we know Superman's in this game, but...
It might have just been a case of they were working on something for a couple of years, then it just wasn't fun. Decided, you know what, we need to scrap this and start again.
Yeah. And I'm sure timelines permitting, Gotham Knights arriving within a year of this one. I'm sure they probably wanted to space them out a bit more, but then as development's gone on, COVID, lockdown, delays, remakes, re-ideas, I'm sure there was another Batman follow-up from Arkham Knight in there somewhere. Like, surely you've got 3 back-to-back successful games, so to then pivot away from the Cape Crusader seems like an odd choice to bank your money on, but we'll find out. We'll see. Of course, Gotham Knights just got a release date, not on Stadia, but again, I'm holding out hope because of that WB AT&T deal, and we'll see the Suicide Squad next year, I guess, on certain platforms. That's for sure. But moving on away from WB into some other quick short news stories relating to EA. First up, we know EA have got titles on Stadia. We don't know, more importantly, if that 5-game deal was them in and out done. But we surely will find out soon because there's games coming. However, one of those is not PGA Tour. They announced last year that EA has got the PGA license back, so 2K will no longer be putting out a PGA Tour title. It'll be now known as EA Sports PGA Tour, which will be their first foray into golfing since 2015's Rory McIlroy's PGA Tour. It was revealed last year. However, it's been pushed back to spring 2023 alongside the Suicide Squad, funnily enough. And I'm not a golf fan, Richie, so I'm not that bothered. I guess with this being their first game coming back to the series, a delay doesn't really make all that difference. It's not like it's an annualized franchise at this stage. But I just wanted to bring it up because it might be coming to Stadia. We have a golf game. We have PGA. We have this very PGA Tour game being shown right now to video listeners.
Yeah, the plan might be to make it an annualized franchise again, but the first one's always going to probably take a bit more groundwork to get everything running smoothly, get the gameplay nailed.
Yeah.
Because then they'll just tweak it from there on. So there might be a case of we're not going to hit spring 2022.
Yeah.
Do we push it to later in the year, potentially outside the golfing season? I don't know what I'm assuming the golfing season is spring summer.
Yeah, I can't.
And then miss the golfing season, or do we push it back a full year and just give ourselves another year to just nail it?
Certainly. But yeah, it's interesting to see what happens with it. Of course, golf games probably don't need annualizing as much just by the nature of the sport. It's not like there's a massive transfer window and thousands of players moving around, clubs and sponsorships and all that. It's very much the courses themselves have existed for decades. They probably will continue to do so. There's some new young players come through and some people retire, but it doesn't change as much as some other sports. So we'll see. If you're a golf fan out there, you have to wait a little bit longer, unfortunately. And I tell you what, you'll be waiting even longer for, Richie. Dirt Rally, potentially, because we know Codemasters, developers of the Dirt series, we have Dirt 5 out on Stadia. It was one of our pro games, actually, a few months back. Apparently, according to a social media leak, Dirt, not even a social media leak, it's literally the social media channel for Dirt, the Dirt game, their Twitter handle, has been changed to EA Sports Rally. So the team behind Dirt 5 claimed it was working on the biggest and most ambitious game in over a decade. However, it doesn't look like it's going to be Dirt Rally 3, which we've all guessed along the lines, just by the nature of the hashtags changing over on the platform. And it makes sense because Codemasters are scoped to work with the World Rally Championship license since 2022.
Yeah, it seems... I think this is a bit of consolidation between, okay, they got World Rally Championship, they got Dirt Rally. Do we need three rally brands under one publisher? So let's consolidate that, and I think it makes sense to go with the World Rally Championship if you've got the official license.
Yeah, completely agree.
Yeah,
and I actually think EA are going through a bit of a restructure and a bit of a rebrand. We've covered on the show many times about the FIFA license. I read a few articles this week. That seems like it's a pretty much done deal, and the big rumour at the moment, because it's being copyrighted, is EA Sports Football. And you know what? Reading this article now, EA Sports Rally.
EA Sports Rally.
This is their brand. It's EA Sports followed by... It's EA Sports Golf, EA Sports Rally, EA Sports Football.
Is it going to be EA Sports Football, or is it going to be EA Sports Soccer?
Probably both, depending on what part of the world you buy it in.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
That's the easy answer, isn't it? Just change the name for different countries. After all, it'll be a different language if it was released in Spain or Portugal or somewhere. So, but yeah, EA Sports Rally. Go check it out now on Twitter. That is the hashtag for the official home of the Dirt and the Dirt Rally game from Codemasters, I should say. I do hope we see more EA games. I know we've played it a few times, but
they're not without the problems. But EA, I think, are on the way back up.
Yeah, I mean, we've said it before, between the big previously third-party companies, Activision runs loads of flack, Ubisoft runs loads of flack, and EA, funnily enough, seem to be the ones who are doing all right for themselves. And there's a lot of rumours that Jedi Fallen Order 2, we're going to see some kind of reveal at Star Wars Celebration, which is in 2 months' time, Richie, almost to the day. If we get that and it's not coming to Stadia, that's the first game that I think has given us the warnings that we might not be seeing new titles.
So some of the comments in this Push Square article are, there's people like, I'm going to read this one. Rest in peace, Codemasters, as some of us have grown up with and come to love. EA have taken one of the most independent software houses and turned them into nothing but a shadow of the former selves. Like, and get being critical of EA, but I mean, give them a chance. Like,
and also,
it's been months since the purchase.
And also, all they've done is change a Twitter handle.
Yeah.
If that's what you're worried about, then you've got bigger problems.
Yeah, give them a chance to bring out some games before you judge them.
Yeah, indeed. But we have to wait, Richie. We always have to wait. That's the problem with no roadmap. You always have to wait and find out from other sources for leaks and such. But you know what? We'll move on, because after all, it is Adventure Time with Finn and Jake, and we're moving on to our next story of the week. That's right, Adventure Time, Pirates of Enchiridion. I'm going to say
Enchiridion.
Enchiridion.
No. I think it's meant to be almost a play on Pirates of the Caribbean. And then, yes, I use the American there.
Yeah. Caribbean, of course. That's actually a good shout. That makes perfect sense. I'm just going to refer to it as the Adventure Time game, as I'm sure many children do, because that is a hard word to read phonetically. And this is, of course, aimed at a younger audience. Our good friends over at Outright Games have published yet another game on the title. I'm telling you, Richie, one day we'll have to add up how many Ubisoft versus how many Outright Games are on this platform, because I really think they've edged them out now. In fact, our good friend Inlead has probably got a list. He's got a monitor somewhere of developer and publisher lists, but we digress. Adventure Time, the game with pirates, is now out on Stadia. It actually launched last Friday, so you can fill your boots. It's available now. And it's ready to go and play. Ahoy, if you're familiar with Finn and Jake, of course, from the Adventure Time series. It's one of those, almost with the cartoons, which had a bit of a resurgence a few years ago, where, and we know Family Guy and The Simpsons have done it for quite some time, but I feel like there was a sudden boom almost 5 or so years ago when there was even more that was like, it's comedy and cartoons for kids, but there's such an adult focus on it. It can be enjoyed by all.
I think for a time it was akin to like the Rick and Morty fandom. Yeah. Where it just seemed to explode out of nowhere, and then, well, Rick and Morty is still a thing, but I think Adventure Time has slowly decayed over time. I don't even know if it's still going. I enjoyed it for a while and then just stopped watching it. Yeah,
I think it's accessibility a lot of the time. I watched it, and then I think it in the UK, the season, we didn't get either the new season or it didn't come to whatever Netflix I was probably watching on at the time. And then you just stop watching it, and because we don't watch terrestrial TV, there's nothing to remind you when the new season's out. If you don't follow the right social channels, you just kind of miss it, and it goes. And we've got some friends who are like massive Adventure Time fans. So
the final episode was released in September 2018.
Oh, so okay.
It had an 8-year run though. So
8 years, jeez, that's crazy. That is crazy. But yes, the game, of course, brings the Adventure Time series cast, all of the friends that you know and love from the cartoon series, all the heroes. They go and explore the high seas in search of hidden clues, interrogate shady suspects, and fight pirates to save their waterlogged world. It's very similar to like any 3D puzzle platformer game. SpongeBob, Rehydrated, those type of things, destroy all humans, jump around. It looks
very much by the numbers of an Adventure Time skin on it.
Yeah, completely. And it's got that weird 3D effect. If you remember the early Simpsons games, you're so used to seeing them in a 2D plane, seeing them with that rendered black silhouette around them, and they're suddenly made 3D. It does make for an interesting graphic choice. But yes, Outright Games available now. Go pick it up from the Stadia store if you want to go on a little adventure. We like adventures here, Richie.
We do.
And I've got some sad news to bring you. That Guilt, of course, Stadia exclusives still. One of, I would say, the best Stadia exclusives on the platform. Not ported to another platform yet. Somehow we thought it would have a year's exclusivity, like everything else seems to do.
I'm genuinely surprised because it's a really good game.
It does, and back to what a lot of people have been shouting for, folders, some kind of game organisation. Guilt, realistically, the poor game, is probably so far back along our game list now, you'd have to scroll for almost probably 20 minutes straight just to find the game tile to boot up the game.
Well, conveniently, conveniently on YouTube, there's a playlist.
There is a playlist.
For the entire playthrough.
But the reason I bring it up, the developers, Tequila Works, of course, famed for other titles like Rhyme, is a big puzzle one that people love. The Madrid-based studio confirmed in a press release it's now owned majorly by the Chinese conglomerate Tencent. That's right, Tencent has snapped up Tequila Works. So say what you will about Tencent, but they are definitely getting shares in so many companies if we look at it. The video games industry has grown enormously. But yeah, they've got investment in Ubisoft, Epic, Remedy, Sumo Digital, Don't Nod, Platinum Games, Playtonic, Roblox and Crafton, ownership in Funcom, Turtle Rock Studios, Riot Games. It's interesting.
Well, interestingly, actually, the next thing Tequila Works is working on is a League of Legends story. Who League of Legends, Riot Games.
Yeah, which they have shares in, right? That's already owned by Riot Games. Is already owned by Tencent. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. So
that might be how the relationships come to be. Like,
well, interesting. But it's just it's one of those things that it just seems like there's, with all the stuff going on in the world, there's these companies that can still just get shares in studios and stuff, even though there's practices that happen over that side that we won't get into. We don't talk about that here, but don't know how I feel about Tencent buying up shares in all of these companies that have such a creative.
I'm generally against consolidation in the video game industry, but in some cases it can be the right thing for the developers. So if this leads to Tequila Works growing as a company and making better and better games, great. But it's just one of them. Who knows till it happens.
Exactly.
And with Tencent are one of them weird ones where the only thing I really know about them is they keep buying people or buying shares in companies. You don't know how hands-on they are.
Yeah.
If they might be entirely very hands-off, just like, we own you, crack on.
They could be.
Which is fine. It's hard to know.
They could be. There's always that dialogue, though, that Tencent are also partially owned by Chinese government. So any government owning stakes in a company that is supposed to be creative means, again, that's a whole separate show unto itself. But we'll move along anyway. Rest in peace, Guilt, I guess, whatever the game ends up doing. I don't imagine we'll see any more Tequila Works projects. Not that they were working on anything that was Stadia bound anyway, but it's a big shame because I've got a lot of time for that game. Next story, moving on. Haven Studios, the newly founded studio from Jade Raymond, of course, of Stadia Games and Entertainment fame and Assassin's Creed and other franchises that she's famous for. They were creating a new IP for PlayStation, Richie, a AAA multiplayer experience, utilising all the technology at their disposal, the full power of the PS5. The reason I bring it up is because they've been acquired and they've fully joined the PlayStation family now. So they are no longer just working as a partnership with PlayStation. They are fully first party. So this game and all games going forward will be exclusive. Jade Raymond officially works for PlayStation. And the reason we really bring it up is similar to the story last week about the Quarry coming from Supermassive Games, is whatever Jade and the team have been working on, this may well have been the Stadia game that she was working on for a year and a half, and Google give her the blessing to, of course, leave with their project, as far as we know, take all of the work in the pre-production with
the assets and the team.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason we say that is because clearly PlayStation have seen something in even just a few months since the studio was founded, enough to just outright buy it and own anything that they make.
Yeah, the surprising thing with this is it's not that Haven has been bought by PlayStation Studios, it's how soon they have.
Yeah.
I would have thought we might have seen a game come out first.
Yep.
And if it does well, then we'll buy them. But if they've been impressed with the work, it might be a case of, well, if the game comes out and sells really well, the price will go up.
Yep.
Or we can buy them now.
Yep. And yeah, within the kind of press release from Herman Holstead of PlayStation Studios, he goes on to say, like, we've been working with the team since early 2021, which isn't even that far ago. when they were on the brink of announcing the studios. From their first pitch, we were inspired by Haven's vision for creating a modern multiplayer experience that brings gamers together in positive and meaningful ways. We're confident in their creative and technical expertise to deliver on such an ambitious project, and we're thrilled to invest in their journey developing a new original IP for PlayStation. And this totally, to me, just reads that they did a lot of graft at Stadia to get some kind of future multiplayer cloud experience on the go, utilising the power of the cloud, which we were promised right back at that GDC in 2019. And if you can take all that work into a first pitch and say, look, we've already got assets, we've got concept art, we've been genuinely grafting away at it for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, is PlayStation, you must look at that and go, shit, these guys have done like almost all of the legwork before we've even spent a penny. We're in. We're
and
committed.
And we know Sony are trying to get some more studios working the multiplayer stuff. Because Sony are Sony PlayStation Studios are lauded for their first party offerings. Mm-hmm. They're pretty much to our benefit single player story based.
Yeah.
But they are weak in the multiplayer space on a first party base. So which is where actually Xbox shines. So this is why they're trying to strengthen it. And if Haven are going, we're making this, it's an awesome multiplayer game. Okay, we'll have you.
Completely. And I think the sheer turnaround in which they can go, if the studio was only formed last year, and yet here they are working on a game, which makes me think the turnaround for this game is, for PlayStation, fantastic. It feels like they're going to get a game almost a year, possibly 2 years, thanks to all the groundwork done at Stadia, well before they would have normally had. We've just joked about Rocksteady taking 8 years to shit or get off the pot with Suicide Squad, and here we are, a brand new studio that didn't even exist, Richie, didn't even have a name, a logo, a location, suddenly able to lock in with PlayStation exclusive and put out a AAA game.
To be fair, we have no idea how far along Jade Raymond and the team were on a game at Stadia Games and Entertainment. It may have been taking a long time to get things up and running, because building a new studio from scratch does take, I'd imagine, quite a bit of time. And there's a lot of probably pitch meetings, trying to figure out what the first project is going to be. I reckon the first year of Stadia Games and Entertainment, they probably didn't have a project fully running yet. Might be wrong. I have no idea. I'm not a game developer, but...
Yeah.
Hopefully
we'll know one day. There's definitely some kind of inside documentary material there to make something like what was or what could have been. I
think it'd be a no-clip documentary would be good, but I think for that to happen, Stadia need to be a bit bigger.
Or completely collapse.
Even,
We'll see.
Preferably bigger.
Preferably bigger. 100% preferably bigger. I thought it was an interesting one to bring up. Just straight off the back of last week's The Quarry, it kind of just makes you think in one of those alternate DC Flashpoint worlds, Richie, we would be saying, The Quarry, Stadia exclusive horror game from Supermassive coming out later this spring. And then on the flip side, Jay Raymond drops a new trailer for the game they've been working on for nearly 3 years now. It's a AAA multiplayer cloud exclusive, bringing the power of Stadia to the masses. And then that could have in turn meant that we'd be getting EA games locked in. We'd be getting more games other than just Ubisoft. We could be sat here playing Elden Ring for all we know, and it's an interesting kind of alternative reality to maybe sit and dream of. But we digress. Moving on to the last few stories of the week. We've got a couple of quick updates. Lumote, Richie. Lumote, the Master Mote Chronicles. We reported a few weeks ago it was announced as coming to Stadia. It was rated, I believe, as well. The developers have spoke about it, teased about it, put trailers out. And we got an announcement the other week as part of the community blog, and our listeners and viewers will remember that it was coming to Stadia Pro on the 1st of May 2022. You remember that, Richie?
I do. We talked about it last week.
We did. That's been slowly swept under the rug. Eagle-eyed readers out there will notice the community blog was updated to reflect none of that news. The tweet that went out was deleted. But they didn't get everything, because if you head over to the Lumote announcement trailer on YouTube, the YouTube description actually still says launching in Stadia Pro on May the 1st, 2022. So I just wanted to cover our backs there and say, I wasn't going crazy. I started seeing a few things, and I even went back to the show doc, read the link, opened up the community blog, and nowhere to be seen does it say that. And it just made me think, we did on the podcast. We did sit down and say it's coming to Pro, or am I going absolutely stir crazy over here? And thankfully, yeah, maybe it's these sugary cookie dough bites are making me go wild. But I want to bring it up because this isn't the first time they've done it. If you remember, we got the announcement of what game was it? It's already a Pro game, and then it was announced as coming to Pro again, and then that got swept under the rug. Was it Little Nightmares 1?
Possibly. I'm looking actually at the Next Up on Stadia blog from the 17th of March, and it's there. Lumote is on it, and it does have a release date May the 1st.
But it doesn't say Pro.
Oh, it doesn't say Pro. Yeah. Oh, right, that's it. That's
what's been swept under the rug. The news of it coming.
Right,
to Pro.
The Pro bit. Yeah. I'm with you. Sorry.
So the reason I bring it up is because I'm really curious to know if we're going to go into next month's Pro games, so like the back end of April, and they go no, because of course Lumote was originally supposed to be coming out on the 24th of March. The trailer says 24th of March, so something's happened where it's been pushed back, and then it went Pro, but then it's not Pro. And I just want to keep our viewers and listeners clued in with what's happening.
My tinfoil hat moment here is, in the last week's blog post was a typo. It wasn't meant to say Pro, but it is coming to Pro, but they're not ready to announce it yet.
It can be
because
it
Stadia
can be
don't
typo,
announce anything till on.
It's in the description on YouTube and everything.
Yeah, but this is because it's meant to go. It is coming to. I think it is coming to Pro, but because it's now like it's March and not April.
Right.
Oh, we're not talking about April's May's Pro games yet. Get rid of it.
All right. I thought you meant like it's not coming at all. I was like, you can't just
rather than just going. It is coming to Pro.
Yeah.
We didn't mean to announce it's coming to Pro yet, but yes, it is.
Mm-hmm. But
it feels like a very Stadia move to go, oh my god, we told them something. Yeah. Hide it now.
I mean, even this last week, did you see the Pro game announcement? You know, the graphic they do with all like the little sliced shapes with all the cover art in.
Yes.
Did you see the one that had the placeholder text over it still?
I didn't
actually. The tweet went out, but then I think it was the Facebook post. It had what was it? FPO in like bright neon pink letters over where the Far Cry artwork was. It was like for placeholder only. So it looked like they've took the image before it was like locked in and finalized and published it.
And the fact that it's in bright pink letters to make sure no one publishes it like that.
Yeah, for placeholder only. But you just gotta laugh at these things. But yeah, typos and that aside though.
Mistakes.
Do you think it's good practice to not be honest with us and actually just like update your blog and just remove all existence as though?
No, I think this is one of the reasons why you actually hire community managers, where if mistakes happen, if this isn't coming to Pro, turn out and go, it being listed as Pro was a mistake, it's not coming. Or if it is coming to Pro and going, we didn't mean to tell you this yet, but it is.
Yeah,
it's out there.
Almost like
it's like it's just owning up to it. It feels like they're being a bit shifty, like whatever way it goes, they're kind of hiding the info now rather than just going, it's out there.
Well, that's like again, like I go back to it, but Little Nightmares was confirmed as coming to Pro again, because we actually said like, is this the first Pro game that's been repeatedly put on the service? And it was, and then they removed the blog information. They didn't acknowledge it again. They deleted the tweet or whatever happened. And it just, that's it, brush on the carpet. No one ever mentions it again. But they promise people Little Nightmares on Pro. And yes, there might be a small amount of people out there who didn't claim it first time who now could claim it. But that's like a 10, 15 quid game that you promise people and then just swept under the rug as though it doesn't exist. And I think you're completely right. It's just bad. It's bad practice for honesty.
It's almost a little, that's it. It's honesty. It's like people, in the end of the day, Stadia is made up of people. People make mistakes.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're always brought up to like own up to your mistakes, not hide them. Like when you were a kid, if you did something wrong, and you hid the fact that you'd done something wrong, you probably get more in trouble for hiding it than you were for the thing that you did wrong. So Stadia, stop hiding the things you've done wrong. Just own up your mistakes. It's fine.
Indeed. And I'm sure there'd be more of an uproar if it was like something more relevant, like if it accidentally said a big game was coming and then swept under the rug. But again, it's almost just doing their customers out there a bit of a disservice by telling us stuff and then just deleting it without acknowledging that it was a mistake.
Considering one of the biggest criticisms they have is how they communicate what's going on to the consumer. It's like, obscuring information is not the way to go.
Completely right, and we know that, and we just have this little YouTube channel right here. But if we make a mistake, we literally have a segment on the show called the Retcon Ritual, where if anyone calls us out for something we say wrong or something information that's incorrect, we cover it on the next episode and say, hold our hands up and say, yeah, we got that wrong. Here's a whole segment dedicated to what we got wrong. This is the actual truth of the matter. And then we move on. We own up to it and we move on. Not that we make many mistakes, to be fair. 131 episodes in, we don't have...
At least people don't call us out.
Oh, that, yeah, it could be that. That's on you, listeners and viewers out there. Final story for the week, Richie. I wanted to end on a nice little fun one. The beautiful little indie darling Celeste was a Stadia Pro game, still available to buy. I need to actually go back to Celeste. I was listening to the soundtrack today, and that alone was like, oh man.
I need to go back to it as well. I have it on Switch, and I just never put the time into it.
Such a good little game. The reason I want to bring it up is that there's a Twitch streamer, Richie, out there called Rick Fernello. I don't know if you've seen it this week. He completed Celeste, 100% completed Celeste, without a single death. And
that is insane.
And I mean... the platform, I must have died even in my first look, which is available right now on the channel if anyone wants to check it out. I must have died 40, 50 times in my hour or so of gameplay, because that is a tricky platformer. It's a fast-paced, frantic, pixel art platformer. And this guy put over 600 hours of practice in. He collected all of the strawberries, and he didn't die once. Which I'm pretty sure in some of the boss fights, I died about 15 times within seconds.
Yeah, it's meant to be. It's intentionally difficult game. You're meant to actually. It's part even thematically difficult because it's all about mental health, and you're meant to like strive to overcome the challenge that it keeps pushing you. Mm-hmm. But I mean, that's really impressive. Like, well done. Yeah,
well done indeed. Go check it out. It's over on his Twitter account at Rick Fernello. There's a full video up there as well. Big dedication. That's 600 hours of practice to get the world's first Celeste Deathless run.
I wonder how many times he came close and died in like the last level and just bam.
Yeah, he would do. He'll probably be on this summer's Games Done Quick because it's an impressive feat to do. Celeste, of course, celebrating its 4th anniversary. It's been on Stadia for about a year and a half, I'd say, at this point. If you've not checked it out, beautiful little game. I know we've got a couple of friends who absolutely love it out there as well. But Richie, that brings us to an end for all of the strawberries in Sounds of Stadia, episode number 131. We've been doing a great show. I've enjoyed it. Lots of news to talk about. Remember, everyone, if you want to support us, channel, bring you better content all the time, you can do by joining us and becoming a Helix hero by clicking join on the YouTube link below. From as little as 99 pence, you get all of our wonderful content. You get stickers, badges next to your name. You get special content exclusive to members. And one of those pieces of content is, of course, our SideQuest show, where we go off the beaten track and explore another topic in a slightly deeper tone for about half an hour. And Richie said this one's going to be spicy. Remind the viewers and listeners
it's going to be spicy.
What's available to them right now. If they're watching on Monday when this podcast goes live, it's available to our members right now for the whole week. What are we chatting about?
So we're quite a way through the year, so if we felt it's the time to check in with all the games that, with the most anticipated games of this year, what's come to Stadia, what hasn't, what's been announced to come to Stadia for later in the year. So it's going to be a deep dive into that.
It is. Will I go off on a rant? Probably.
Yes, you will.
Probably. Yeah, I probably will. I can almost feel it bubbling in me as we're about to go record, because I know a lot of the games on the list, like, there's almost like no excuse. But we'll get into that. We'll get that. Save it. If you want to check it out, it's available now. 99p from as little as. You can just go watch it straight after you finish watching this show. But thank you very much to everyone who's tuned in. Thank you to all of our wonderful members, all of the people who support us, all the hundreds and thousands of you now who tune in across all platforms, sound and video feeds. We love and appreciate every single one of you. We'll be back next week for, of course, episode number 121 of your weekly Stadia show. We'll have live streams up this very Thursday playing one of the Stadia games out there. We'll figure it out later on. We haven't done it yet. There's Fest Looks up on the channel right now. Far Cry, Stranger Things, all of that stuff. If you want to find me over on Twitter, I am at CyberChris2077. Richie is at
RichieC89.
Tom is at AdaxisLP. We collectively are at Helix Cloud Games. We're on Facebook, we're on Discord, we're on are we on TikTok? I've got the TikTok, but I don't use it. We're on Snapchat, I think, but we've never used it. But we're across all social feeds. Helix Cloud Games. Search us out, hit us out.
Yeah, go on, follow us on Snapchat, why not?
You know what? We even have the domain name, but we don't use the website for anything because we just don't have the capacity to deal with that. But again, we always look to expanding in the future, and we do that thanks to your amazing support out there. Have a great week, folks, in gaming, and remember, play whatever makes you the happiest. Have a good one. Goodbye.
Bye.